Then she straightened. Then we have work to do. We need to unite the galaxy, all the species, together. Threshold Prime hung in space, damaged and diminished. The great station where 10,000 species once gathered in unity now felt like a funeral hall. The Galactic Council had reconvened, but this time they were the ones on trial. Ambassador Hyunwoo walked through the corridors that had once echoed with their condemnation. Now those same corridors were silent, filled with representatives who could not meet his eyes. Beside him walked Somin, still wearing her pilot's uniform, and Taeyang, carrying data tablets filled with information that would change everything. The chamber looked the same, but the atmosphere was completely different. Where once there had been arrogance and certainty, now there was fear and uncertainty. The chief arbiter, that being of crystalline light who had pronounced humanity's death sentence, flickered nervously at its platform. The council recognizes Ambassador Hyunwoo of Earth, it said, its voice lacking the previous authority. Hyunwoo stood at the center of the chamber. This time he was not alone at a podium. 200 architect ships surrounded the station, a reminder of what humanity could do when threatened. 2 months ago, you voted to exterminate my species. Hyunwoo began. You sent fleets to sterilize our worlds. You deployed planet killers to crack Earth itself. You did this because you were afraid. Afraid of what we might become? Murmurs rippled through the chamber, but no one argued. The footage of the Battle of Earth had been broadcast across the galaxy. Everyone had seen what happened to the Threx fleet. You made a mistake, Hyunwoo continued. Not in fearing us, but in trying to destroy us. Because in trying to kill us, you forced us to become exactly what you feared. You woke the sleeping giant. The Velnari representative spoke up, its crystalline form dimmed with shame. What do you want, Ambassador? Revenge or surrender? We will accept whatever terms you demand. I do not want revenge, Hyunwoo said. I want you to listen. He gestured to Taeyang, who activated his presentation. Holographic images filled the chamber, showing data from the galactic rim. Energy readings that made no sense. Spatial anomalies that violated known physics. For 5 years, I tried to warn you about this, Taeyang said. For 5 years you ignored me. So let me make this very clear now. Something is coming. Something that makes your conflict with humanity look like children fighting over toys. The images shifted, showing ancient texts recovered from architect ruins. The architects who seeded life across this galaxy did not disappear by choice. They were fighting a war against entities from outside our dimension. The archives call them the Void Swarm. They are not alive in any sense we understand. They are entropy given form, existence eaters that consume entire galaxies, myths. The Luminarch representative pulsed. Ancient stories meant to frighten. They are not myths, Danai said, stepping forward. She had arrived with Hyunwoo, representing Earth's military command. We have detected the same spatial anomalies the architects described. They are not metaphors. They are real measurable phenomena, and they are getting stronger. She pulled up new data, fresh readings from observation posts at the galactic edge. 3 weeks ago, an entire star system vanished from our sensors. Not destroyed, vanished. Erased from existence. 2 weeks ago, another system. Last week, 3 systems. The rate is accelerating. The chamber erupted in panic. Representatives shouted, demanded proof, accused humans of fabricating data to avoid punishment. The chief arbiter struggled to restore order. Hyunwoo let them panic for a moment, then spoke in a voice that cut through the chaos. Silence. The chamber fell quiet. When a species that could destroy 5,000 ships in a single battle gives an order, others listen. We have proof, Hyunwoo said. But more than that, we have a solution. The architects left behind more than weapons. They left behind a plan. Taeyang pulled up new schematics showing the network of installations across the galaxy. The architect platforms are not just weapons. They are nodes in a defensive grid designed to seal the boundaries between dimensions. When fully activated and networked together, they can create a barrier that the Void Swarm cannot cross. Then activate them, the Threx representative demanded. Bloodclaw was not present, still held as a prisoner, but his replacement was just as arrogant. We cannot, Taeyang said simply. The installations only respond to architect genetic markers. Only humans can activate them. But there are thousands of installations across the galaxy, on thousands of worlds. Many are on your worlds. We need your cooperation to access them all. The implications sank in slowly. The species that had tried to exterminate humanity now needed humanity to save them. What do you want in return? The Velnari representative asked. What is your price for saving us? Hyunwoo looked around the chamber at the thousands of species gathered there. I want you to understand what you tried to do. You tried to destroy an entire species because you were afraid. You voted for extinction without even trying to understand us. And when we proved we could fight back, you expected us to become conquerors. He paused, letting his words sink in. But we are not conquerors. We are survivors. And we protect those who cannot protect themselves. Even if those people tried to kill us. President Mirai appeared on the main display, broadcasting from Earth. The human government proposes the dissolution of the Galactic Council and the formation of a new body, the Galactic Alliance. An alliance of equals, not a council of ancients ruling over younger species. Every species gets a voice. Every species gets protection. And every species contributes to the common defense. And who leads this alliance? The Luminarch representative asked suspiciously. We do, Mirai said bluntly. Not because we want power, but because we are the only ones with access to architect technology. When the Void Swarm arrives, we will need to coordinate the defense of billions of worlds. That requires unity of command. It requires experience in fighting impossible odds. And frankly, it requires species who know how to win wars. Humans have fought constantly since achieving sentience, Danai added. We have 10,000 years of military history. We know tactics, strategy, and how to organize massive military operations. Most of your species have been at peace for millennia. You have forgotten how to fight. We never had that luxury. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then surprisingly, the Velnari representative spoke. I will support this proposal. My species tried to destroy humanity, and humanity responded by offering to save us. That is a leader I can follow. One by one, other species agreed. The Threx held out longest, their pride wounded by their defeat at Earth. But even they eventually acknowledged reality. When the Void Swarm arrived, they would need humanity's help or die. The vote was called. This time it was not a vote for extinction, but for survival. The measure passed unanimously. The Galactic Council was dissolved. The Galactic Alliance was born. Then we begin immediately, Hyunwoo said. We have 8 months, maybe less, before the Void Swarm reaches populated space. We need to activate every architect installation, retrofit your fleets with human technology, and train your militaries in real combat doctrine. You have 8 months to prepare for a war that will determine if any of us survive. I suggest we not waste time. Across the galaxy, the transformation began. Human engineers traveled to thousands of worlds, activating architect installations that had slept for 3 million years. Human military advisors trained alien soldiers who had never seen real combat. Human scientists shared technology that the Council had tried to suppress. On New Sejong, Commander Jinho welcomed a Velnari fleet to his system for joint training exercises. The same Velnari who had tried to destroy his colony 2 months ago now worked alongside his ships, learning human tactics. They are slow learners, his tactical officer Hana observed. They will learn, Jinho said, or they will die. Those are the only options now. On Luna Base, Soman trained new pilots from dozens of species in the use of architect ships. Most could not handle the neural connection, the merging of consciousness that the ships required. But those who could became deadly. The ship will try to dominate you, she told a group of trainees that included Velnari, Threx, and Luminarch volunteers. You must be strong enough to remain yourself while accepting it as part of you. It is not easy, but it is necessary. On Earth, the architect installations continued their work, building ships by the thousands. The factories ran day and night, drawing on energy sources that humanity still did not fully understand. Within months, the human fleet numbered in the tens of thousands, with more being constructed every day. And on the galactic rim, the Void Swarm grew closer. Taeyang watched the readings from his Antarctic command center, tracking the anomalies as they spread. Systems continued to vanish, the effects spreading like a cancer through the galactic edge. How much time do we have? President Mirai asked during their daily briefing. 6 months, Taeyang replied. Maybe less. They are accelerating. Will we be ready? Taeyang looked at the data showing fleet positions, installation activations, and training progress. I do not know. We are doing everything we can. We have activated 90% of the architect installations. The Alliance fleet numbers 200,000 ships. We have trained 500,000 soldiers from Adao. The Threx Dominion fleet appeared at the edge of the Sol system like a swarm of angry insects. 5,000 ships ranging from small fighters to massive dreadnoughts the size of small moons. Their formations stretched across millions of kilometers of space, a wall of metal and fury designed to crush all resistance. Aboard the flagship, Bloodclaw clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. The humans had been annoyingly persistent across their outer colonies, but now the Threx would strike at their heart. Earth would fall, and with it humanity's will to resist. All ships advance formation. Destroy any resistance. When we reach Earth, deploy the Planet Killers. The Planet Killers were the Threx's ultimate weapon, massive autonomous drones designed to crack worlds open from the inside. They had never been used on a populated planet before, but the Council had authorized their deployment. Humanity would be given one last chance to surrender. If they refused, Earth would die. The fleet advanced into the system, passing Neptune's orbit without incident. Then Jupiter. Then Mars, where Danae watched their approach with cold calculation. "They are not even trying to be cautious," she remarked to her staff. "They think this is already over. Can we win this?" An aide asked quietly. Danae pulled up the tactical displays. 200 architect ships under human control, positioned in orbit around Earth, against 5,000 Threx vessels with centuries of technological advantage. "No," she said honestly, "not if this was a fair fight. But we are human. We do not fight fair." She opened a channel to the architect fleet. "All vessels, this is command. Execute protocol Nightfall." Around Earth, 200 biomechanical ships came to life. Inside each one, a human pilot merged with ancient technology, becoming something more than either human or machine. Someone felt her ship's eagerness, its desire to test itself against enemies. "Easy," she whispered to it. "Save your strength. Let them get closer." The Threx fleet reached the asteroid belt, still meeting no resistance. Bloodclaw grew suspicious. Where were the defending ships? Where were the desperate pleas for mercy? "Sir, we are detecting energy readings from Earth orbit. Unknown signatures, very powerful." "Show me." The tactical display updated, showing 200 ships arrayed around the blue planet. They were smaller than Threx vessels, but something about their energy signatures made the sensor officer nervous. "Those readings cannot be correct," Bloodclaw said. "No ships produce that much power. Should we slow our advance?" "No, they are bluffing. Probably just overloading their reactors to scare us. Continue forward." The Threx fleet crossed into Earth's orbital space. The human ships did not move, did not fire, did not respond to hails. They simply waited. "Sir, they are powering weapons," the sensor officer reported. "Energy levels are—" "That is impossible." "What is impossible?" "Their weapon systems are reading at levels comparable to our Planet Killers." Bloodclaw laughed, a clicking, chittering sound. 200 ships with Planet Killer grade weapons? The humans have gone insane. All ships prepare to fire. We will sweep them from... Soman fired first. Her ship's main weapon discharged. A beam of energy that did not follow known physics. It punched through the shields of a Threx dreadnought as if they were not there, then through the hull, then through the reactor. The massive ship vanished in a flash of light. Then all 200 human ships fired simultaneously. The Threx formation disintegrated. Dreadnoughts exploded, cruisers split in half, fighters simply ceased to exist. The architect weapons did not behave like normal energy beams or projectiles. They twisted space itself, creating localized physics anomalies that tore matter apart at the molecular level. "Evasive action," Bloodclaw shrieked. "All ships, evasive action." But the human ships were already moving. Soman felt her vessel accelerate with impossible speed, dodging return fire that moved too slowly to track her. She weaved through the Threx formation like a dancer, her weapons firing constantly. Each shot claimed a kill. Around her, 199 other human pilots did the same. They moved in patterns that seemed random but were actually perfectly coordinated, their ships communicating faster than light through quantum entanglement. They were not individual ships anymore. They were a swarm, a school, a single organism with 200 bodies. The Threx fleet tried to respond, tried to coordinate their vastly superior numbers. But they were too slow. Every second, dozens of their ships died. Every minute, hundreds. Within an hour, 2,000 Threx vessels had been destroyed. "Retreat," Bloodclaw ordered. "All ships retreat to rally point." But Danae had anticipated that. As the Threx fleet tried to turn, the architect installations around Earth activated their secondary systems. Space itself rippled and twisted. The Threx ships found their jump drives disabled. Their navigation systems scrambled. They were trapped. "This is Ambassador Hyun-woo to the Threx fleet." A voice came over every comm channel. "You came here to destroy us, to sterilize our species, to eliminate humanity from the galaxy. We are giving you one chance. Surrender now, power down your weapons, and we will let you leave. Refuse, and we will destroy every single ship." Bloodclaw's mandibles clicked in rage. "Never. The Threx Dominion does not surrender to primitives." "As you wish," Hyun-woo replied sadly. The human ships resumed their attack. But this time, Taeyang activated the final weapon system he had discovered in the Architect archives. Temporal disruptors. Selected Threx ships simply froze in space, caught in temporal bubbles where time moved differently. From their perspective, they were still fighting normally. From outside, they appeared as motionless statues suspended in space. The other Threx vessels tried to help their frozen comrades, only to be picked off by human ships that darted in and out like sharks. Another weapon activated: gravitational lances. These did not fire beams or projectiles. They created micro-black holes that lasted only seconds but were enough to pull Threx ships apart from the inside. Bloodclaw watched his fleet die. 5,000 ships reduced to fragments. His own dreadnought shook as human weapons tore through the outer hull. "Sir, the humans are hailing us again. Put them through." Hyun-woo's face appeared on the screen. The ambassador looked older, tired, but his eyes were hard. "This is your last chance, Commander. Surrender or join your ships in death." Bloodclaw looked at his tactical display. Of 5,000 ships, only 300 remained operational. The humans had not even lost a single vessel. It was a massacre. "If we surrender, what happens to us? You will be held as prisoners of war until this conflict ends. You will be treated according to the rules of the Geneva Convention, which apparently your species never bothered to learn about. You will be fed, given medical care, and eventually returned to your people. And if we keep fighting?" Hyun-woo's expression did not change. "Then I will order Lieutenant Soman and her fleet to destroy you all. We gave you the chance for mercy. You voted for our extinction. We are not making the same mistake." Bloodclaw felt something he had not felt in his entire military career: complete defeat. Not just losing a battle, but being utterly outmatched by an enemy he had considered primitive. "I surrender," he said quietly. The Threx fleet surrenders. Around Earth, 300 Threx ships powered down their weapons and allowed themselves to be taken into custody. The human ships herded them like a shepherd dogs with sheep, guiding them to designated holding orbits. Soman felt her ship's disappointment at the fight ending, but also her own relief. They had won. Earth was safe. She broke neural connection and climbed out of her ship, legs shaking from the adrenaline. Other pilots were doing the same, some laughing, some crying, all alive. In the command center on Mars, Danai allowed herself a small smile. "Send a message to all human colonies. Earth is secure. The main Threx fleet has been destroyed." Across human space, celebrations erupted. On New Sejong, Commander Jinho raised a glass to the distant Earth. On Luna Base, soldiers cheered and hugged. On every colony, every station, every ship, humans dared to hope that maybe, just maybe, they would survive this. But in the Antarctic Command Center, Taeyang was not celebrating. He was studying readings from deep space, from the galactic rim where he had first discovered the Architect ruins. "Doctor, you should be celebrating," President Mireille said, appearing on his screen. "We just won the biggest battle in human history." "We won a battle," Taeyang corrected. "But the war is not over, and we have a bigger problem." He shared his readings. Mireille's expression changed from joy to concern. "What am I looking at?" "Anomalies at the galactic edge. Space-time distortions. Energy readings that match descriptions in the Architect archives." He looked up at her. "The Architects did not disappear because they wanted to. They disappeared because they were fighting something. Something they could not defeat, only hold back. What were they fighting? The archives call them the Void Swarm. Extra-dimensional entities that consume galaxies. The Architects fought them to a standstill 3 million years ago, then transcended to a higher plane to continue the fight. They left these installations, these ships, these weapons as a failsafe. They knew the Void Swarm would return. And they are returning now?" Taeyang nodded slowly. "The readings suggest we have months, maybe a year. When they arrive, they will make the Threx fleet look like a minor inconvenience." Mireille was silent for a long moment. The Velnari First Fleet emerged from the jump gate expecting victory. Instead, they found hell. Commander Jinho watched the alien formation through his tactical display, counting vessels and calculating odds. 12 human ships against nearly 200 Velnari warships. Any sane military commander would have retreated. But Protocol Omega did not allow for retreat. It allowed only for making the enemy pay. They are moving in standard formation, Hana reported from the tactical station. Cruisers in front, carriers in the middle, support vessels in the rear. They are not even trying to be defensive. Why would they? Jinho replied. They think we are primitives playing with fire. Let them keep thinking that for 5 more minutes. The human ships drifted in the shadow of New Sejong's gas giant, their reactors running cold to avoid detection. The Velnari fleet moved past them, scanning the abandoned colony on the planet below, confused by the absence of desperate civilians. Range? Jinho asked quietly. Optimal in 30 seconds, sir. Jinho felt the weight of what he was about to do. Many of his crew would die in the next few minutes. But if they did nothing, every human in the galaxy would die over the next 2 centuries. That made the choice simple. All ships weapons free. Target their carriers first. Then we run. The 12 human ships erupted from hiding, their fusion drives blazing. Railguns fired, sending projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed toward their targets. The first Velnari carrier exploded before it even knew it was under attack, its crystalline hull shattering into a million pieces. The alien fleet scrambled to respond. Shields came up, weapons trained toward the human vessels. But Jinho had already moved to Phase 2. Ramming speed, he ordered. Target ships with active shields. 3 human vessels broke formation, their crews already in escape pods that had been secretly launched minutes ago. The unmanned ships, guided by simple AI, accelerated directly toward shielded Velnari cruisers. The aliens tried to shoot them down, but the human ships were small and fast. 2 made it through. The impacts were spectacular. Kinetic energy converting to heat and light as vessels weighing thousands of tons collided at orbital speeds. They are breaking formation, Hana reported with satisfaction. They were not expecting this. Nobody expects humans to fight like this, Jinho said. Now, Phase 3. Launch the packages. From the remaining 9 human ships, hundreds of small objects jetted toward the Velnari fleet. The aliens focused their point defense on these new targets, assuming they were missiles. They were wrong. The packages were assault pods, each containing 10 human marines in powered armor. They did not explode on impact. They attached to alien hulls and burned through. Aboard the Velnari flagship, Commander Velnara watched in horror as red lights appeared across the tactical display. What are those? Unknown projectiles, Commander. They have attached to 17 of our ships and are breaching the hulls. How is that possible? No species fights like this. Then the screaming started over the comm channels. The human marines were inside, fighting with a ferocity that shocked the crystalline beings. Velnari soldiers were not cowards, but they had not fought a real war in 10,000 years. These humans had never stopped fighting wars. Within minutes, 3 Velnari ships went dark as their crews were overwhelmed. 2 more captains panicked and detonated their own reactors rather than let humans take their vessels. Velnara made a decision that would haunt him forever. All ships retreat to the jump gate. We need reinforcements. The first fleet turned and ran, leaving behind wreckage and the screams of their comrades still fighting humans inside captured ships. Of the nearly 200 vessels that entered the system, 173 limped back through the jump gate. Jinho counted his own losses. 4 ships destroyed, 3 captured and deliberately crashed into the planet after evacuation. 2 heavily damaged. Only 3 remained fully operational. But they had done what they needed to do. Broadcast our footage to all human colonies, he ordered. Let them see that we can win. Across human space, the recording played. Citizens watched as 12 tiny human ships humiliated a fleet 50 times their size. Morale surged. If New Sejong could hold, maybe they all could. On Earth, the architect installations continued their awakening. Taeyang had moved his research team to the largest platform, now hovering 3 kilometers above Antarctica. The structure pulsed with energy, drawing power from sources his instruments could not identify. "Doctor, you need to see this," one of his researchers called out. Taeyang walked to the monitoring station. The screen showed underground scans of the area around the platform. Something was moving down there, something massive. "What am I looking at?" "Factories," the researcher said, voice shaking. Underground factories the size of cities. They are activating. And they are building something. The ground beneath them rumbled. Across Earth, in every location where an architect installation stood, the same thing was happening. Ancient factories buried for 3 million years were coming back to life. In the Sahara, sand poured into massive sinkholes as underground spaces opened up. In the Pacific, the ocean level dropped noticeably as water drained into vast caverns below. On Mars, Danai watched through satellite feeds as the red soil cracked and split, revealing structures that glowed with impossible energy. What are they building? President Mirai demanded. Taeyang checked his readings. Ships, they are building ships. How many? I cannot get an accurate count. Hundreds, maybe thousands. In how much time? If these readings are correct, they will have the first batch ready in 10 days. Mirai sat back in her chair, processing this information. 10 days. They just needed to survive 10 more days. But the galaxy was not giving them 10 days. The Threx Dominion, insulted that humanity dared to resist, committed 5,000 ships to the invasion. They arrived at the colony world of New Dublin, expecting to find it defended by a handful of primitive vessels. Instead, they found mines. Thousands of mines left by human ships that had retreated days ago. The Threx formation plowed into the minefield at full speed, and 200 ships vanished in nuclear fire before they even knew they were under attack. The Threx commander, a being whose name translated roughly as Bloodclaw, shrieked in rage. Find the human ships and destroy them. But the human ships were already gone, jumped to another system to prepare the next ambush. The Threx occupied New Dublin, finding it completely evacuated. They claimed victory while searching for an enemy that was already hitting their supply lines 3 systems away. On Luna Base, a young officer named Somin watched the strategic displays with growing understanding. The human fleets were not trying to win battles. They were buying time, trading space for days and hours. She turned to her commanding officer. Sir, when do we get to fight? The colonel smiled grimly. Soon, Lieutenant, very soon. The installations are nearly ready. As if responding to his words, the Antarctic platform suddenly surged with light. Energy readings spiked off the charts. And then, rising from the underground factories, came the first of the new ships. It was unlike anything humanity had built before. The vessel was 2 kilometers long, organic in appearance, with a hull that seemed to shift and change as if alive. It rose silently into the sky, accelerating impossibly fast. That is not possible, someone whispered. It is architect technology, the colonel replied. It does not follow our rules. More ships rose from installations around the world. Sleek, deadly, alive with ancient power. They formed up in orbit, 200 vessels that made Earth's entire existing fleet look like children's toys. Taeyang's voice came over the command frequency. The platforms have activated enough to begin ship production. These are biomechanical constructs designed to bond with human pilots. They move faster, hit harder, and think quicker than anything the galaxy has ever seen. How do we pilot them? Mirai asked. You do not pilot them. You merge with them. Neural link. The ship becomes an extension of your body. Soman felt her heart race. I volunteer. The colonel looked at her. You understand what you are agreeing to? The ship will link directly to your brain. It could kill you. Or it could let me kill the species trying to exterminate us, Somin replied. Where do I sign up? Within hours, 200 volunteers had been selected and paired with the new vessels. Soman climbed into her assigned ship, feeling it come alive around her. It was terrifying and exhilarating. She closed her eyes as the neural connection formed. Pain exploded through her skull, then faded, replaced by something incredible. She could feel the ship. Feel its weapons, its engines, its power. It was like gaining a new body, one that could fly through space and fight with the fury of ancient gods. Lieutenant Soman, status report, the command center requested. She opened her eyes, except they were not just her eyes anymore. They were the ship's sensors, too. She could see in every direction simultaneously, detect radiation across the spectrum, feel the gravitational currents of space itself. Status is incredible, she replied. I am ready to fight. Then get ready, the colonel said. The Threx main fleet is 3 days out from Earth, 5,000 ships. They are coming to finish this. Soman smiled, and somewhere in the merged consciousness between human and machine, the ship smiled too. Let them come, she said. We will show them what the architect's children can do. Earth hung in space like a blue jewel, seemingly peaceful and unaware of the death sentence passed upon it. But inside the Global Defense Command, buried 3 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains, chaos reigned in controlled bursts. President Mireille sat at the head of the emergency council table, her weathered hands folded calmly despite the panic around her. She had led humanity through the first contact wars, the colonial rebellions, and the Mars terraforming crisis. This would not break her. Confirmed, the defense minister said, his voice tight. The council voted for our extinction. Ambassador Hyunwoo transmitted the Protocol Omega codes 40 minutes ago. The galactic fleets are mobilizing now. Best estimates put their arrival at our outer colonies in 15 days. Mirai nodded slowly. Then we implement the protocol. All phases, all contingencies. Send the orders. Across human space, encrypted messages began arriving. On military vessels, in colonial governors' offices, at research stations hidden in asteroid belts. The same 3 words appeared. Protocol Omega activated. On the frontier world of New Sejong, Commander Jinho read the message 3 times before believing it. He was a bear of a man, scarred from decades of combat in the resource wars. His fleet of 12 ships orbited the colony world, protecting 50,000 settlers who had left Earth seeking a new life. Now those settlers were targets. All ships, battle stations, Jinho ordered. His crew moved with practiced efficiency, veterans all. Begin evacuation of all non-essential personnel from the surface. Military families get priority, then specialists we cannot replace. His tactical officer, a woman named Hana, looked up from her console. Sir, where are we evacuating them to? The council controls all the jump gates. Jinho smiled, but there was no humor in it. We are not running, Hana, we are repositioning. The council thinks we will beg and surrender. They are about to learn differently. He pulled up a star chart showing the nearby systems. The council fleet will come through the primary gate. They expect to find us orbiting the planet, easy targets. Instead, we will be here. He pointed to the system's outer gas giant, waiting in the radiation shadow where their sensors cannot find us. An ambush, Hana said, understanding dawning. They will think the system is abandoned. Exactly. And when they drop their guard, we strike. On Earth, deep beneath the Antarctic ice, something ancient was waking up. Taeyang stood in an ice cavern the size of a city, staring at the structure his team had discovered 5 years ago. It looked like a massive ring made of metal that should not exist, covered in symbols that predated any known civilization. Begin the activation sequence, he ordered. His team hesitated. They had studied this structure for years without understanding it. Now they were going to turn it on. Dr. Taeyang, one of the researchers, said nervously. We still do not know what this does. It could be dangerous. The council just voted to sterilize our species over 2 centuries, Taeyang replied. I think we are past worrying about danger. Begin the sequence. They input the genetic codes Taeyang had isolated from his own DNA. The codes that matched the symbols on ancient ruins across the galaxy. The codes that proved humans were descended from the architects. The structure hummed. Energy coursed through metal that had been dormant for 3 million years. Lights appeared along its surface, pulsing in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Then it spoke. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, ancient beyond measure. It spoke in a language nobody had heard for millions of years. But through some impossible technology, everyone understood it perfectly. Genetic markers confirmed. Architect descendants detected. Authorization granted. Defensive protocols activating. The ice above them cracked and exploded upward. The structure rose from its ancient burial place, shedding millennia of accumulated ice. It kept rising, breaking through the ice sheet, emerging into the Antarctic sky. Around the world, seismographs went crazy. News channels showed the impossible sight of a 3-kilometer-wide ring rising from Antarctica, floating impossibly in the air, but that was just the first one. In the Sahara Desert, sand exploded upward as another structure emerged. In the Pacific Ocean, water boiled and churned as a third broke the surface. In Siberia, the Amazon, the Australian outback, more and more ancient installations woke up after 3 million years of sleep. Mireille watched the feeds in stunned silence. Taeyang, what have you done? The scientist's voice came through the comm link, barely containing his excitement. I woke up the defense network the architects left behind, Madam President. These are weapons platforms. Each one has more firepower than our entire global fleet. How many are there? Scanning now. Initial readings show 147 major installations on Earth alone, and I am detecting similar structures on Mars, Luna, and every planet humans have colonized. It seems the architects placed these everywhere they seeded life. On Mars, Danai stood in the military command center, coordinating the defense of 30 human-controlled star systems. The screens before her showed real-time data from every colony, every fleet, every installation. "Confirm receipt of Protocol Omega," she said crisply. "All military forces are to prepare for guerrilla operations. We do not fight their fleets head-on. We hit them where they are weak, retreat before they can respond, and make them bleed for every light year they advance." A colonel objected. "Ma'am, we are outnumbered 10,000 to 1. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. How can we possibly win?" Danai looked at him. "We are not trying to win, Colonel. We are trying to survive long enough for the architects' weapons to come online. Taeyang says it will take 2 weeks for the installations to fully activate. We need to buy him that time." She pulled up tactical data on the incoming fleets. The Velnari First Fleet, 200 ships heading for the outer colonies. The Threx Advance Force, 500 vessels targeting human trade routes. The Luminarch Expeditionary Group, 300 ships of pure energy moving to blockade Earth itself. "They are coming in waves," she said. "They expect overwhelming force to make us surrender. Instead, we make them pay for every system. We show them that humans do not go quietly into extinction." Messages went out across human space. Every colony received its orders. Every ship knew its role. Every soldier, sailor, and pilot prepared for a war they had been dreading since first contact with the galactic civilization. Humanity was young among the stars, barely 300 years old as a spacefaring species, but humanity had been fighting for survival for 300,000 years. That experience was about to matter. On New Sejong, the evacuation completed just as the first alien vessels entered the system. Jinho watched from his hiding place near the gas giant as 12 Velnari ships appeared through the jump gate. "They are scanning the planet," Hana reported. "They are confused. They expected to find us in orbit." "Let them wonder," Jinho said. "Wait for my mark." The Velnari ships moved closer to the planet, their sensors sweeping for human life signs. They found the evacuated cities empty and silent. Their formation loosened as they relaxed, thinking the humans had run away. "Now," Jinho whispered. 12 human ships erupted from the gas giant's radiation shadow, engines burning at maximum thrust. They were smaller than the Velnari vessels, less advanced, but they were fast and their crews were angry. The first Velnari ship died before it could raise shields, torn apart by human railgun fire. The second managed to get its defenses up, but 3 human ships simply rammed it, their crews sacrificing themselves to take down an enemy vessel. Chaos erupted in the alien formation. They had expected frightened primitives begging for mercy. Instead, they faced warriors who fought like cornered animals. "All ships fire at will," Jinho commanded. "Make them remember this day." The battle for New Sejong had begun. It would be the first of many. Back on Earth, Taeyang stood atop the Antarctic installation, watching as it drew power from sources he did not fully understand. Around the planet, 147 weapons platforms were doing the same. "How long until they are operational?" Mirai asked through his comlink. 14 days, Taeyang replied. "The systems are 3 million years old. They need time to charge." 14 days, Mirai repeated. "Commander Jinho and our fleet need to hold for 14 days. "They will hold," Taeyang said with certainty. "Because they are human, and humans are very, very good at surviving." Above Earth, the stars looked peaceful, but across 30 star systems, war was beginning. A war the Galactic Council thought would be over in days. They were wrong about that too. The grand chamber of Threshold Prime stretched across 3 kilometers of engineered space, a monument to galactic civilization that had stood for 15,000 years. 10,000 species gathered here today, their representatives floating, standing, or simply existing in forms that defied easy description. The air shimmered with translation fields, converting thousands of languages into coherent meaning. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Hyunwoo, alone at the human delegation podium. He was a tall man with gray hair and steady eyes that had seen combat on 6 different worlds before politics claimed him. Behind him sat his 2 advisors. Danai, A woman with sharp features and sharper mind reviewed data on her tablet with mechanical precision. Beside her, Taeyang fidgeted nervously, his young face creased with worry. The scientist had been trying to warn the council for months, but nobody listened. The chamber hummed with anticipation. This was not a usual session. This was a trial. The chief arbiter materialized at the central platform, a being of pure crystalline light from the Velnari Empire. Its voice resonated through every translation field simultaneously. The Galactic Council recognizes the matter of humanity. The charges have been filed. The evidence has been presented. We now hear final words before the vote. Hyunwoo stepped forward. His hands did not shake, though he knew what was coming. 3 months of deliberation had made the outcome clear. The galaxy had decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist. Honored members, he began, his voice carrying across the vast chamber. Humanity requests mercy. We are young, only 300 years among the stars. We have made mistakes, yes. We have expanded quickly. We have armed ourselves heavily. But we did so because we were afraid of a universe we did not understand, afraid of powers far greater than ourselves. A ripple of dismissive sounds echoed through the chamber. The insectoid Threx Dominion representative clicked its mandibles in contempt. The energy being from the Luminarch collective pulsed with what translated as disdain. Hyunwoo continued. We ask for time. Time to prove ourselves. Time to learn your ways. Time to become the peaceful species you wish us to be. Grant us 50 years. We will reduce our fleets. We will slow our expansion. We will submit to council oversight. The chief arbiter's light flickered. Your words are noted, Ambassador. However, the council has reviewed humanity's trajectory. In 3 centuries, you have colonized 147 worlds. You have built military forces that rival empires 10 times your age. Your genetic modifications push the boundaries of natural law. Your artificial intelligences grow more sophisticated each year. The projections are clear. In 1,000 years, humanity will be the dominant power in this galaxy. And that terrifies you, Hyunwoo said quietly. The chamber erupted. Thousands of species shouted, hummed, clicked, or broadcast their outrage. The chief arbiter raised a crystalline appendage, and silence fell like a hammer. The vote is called. All in favor of Resolution 7743. The controlled extinction of species humanity. Indicate now. The voting display materialized above the chamber, a massive holographic sphere showing each species' choice in real time. Red lights began to appear, one after another. Dozens became hundreds. Hundreds became thousands. Danai's tablet beeped softly. She glanced at it, then at Hyunwoo. Her expression said everything. The final tally appeared, 98% in favor. Only a handful of minor species had abstained. None voted against. The chief arbiter spoke again. The resolution passes. Humanity is hereby declared a galactic threat. Containment protocols will be implemented immediately. Human worlds will be blockaded. Human vessels will be impounded. Human populations will be reduced through managed sterilization over the next 2 centuries. This council has spoken. A wave of satisfaction rolled through the chamber. The ancient empires had protected the galaxy once more. The dangerous upstarts would be dealt with. Hyunwoo stood perfectly still. He had expected this, prepared for it, but the reality still hit like a physical blow. Behind him, Danai closed her tablet. Taeyang stood up. The young scientist's voice cut through the celebratory atmosphere. You have made a terrible mistake. The chief arbiter turned its attention to him. You are not recognized to speak, human. You should recognize me, Taeyang said, walking forward to stand beside Hyunwoo. I am Dr. Taeyang, chief researcher of the Human Xenoarchaeology Institute. For 5 years, I have been trying to get this council to listen to my findings. For 5 years, you have ignored me. Your findings are irrelevant to these proceedings, the arbiter said coldly. Are they? Taeyang pulled out a small device and activated it. A hologram appeared above him, showing a complex genetic sequence. This is human DNA. And this, another sequence appeared beside it, is a genetic marker I found in ruins on the galactic rim. Ruins that are 3 million years old. They match perfectly. Murmurs rippled through the chamber, but they were confused rather than concerned. Humanity is not some random species that stumbled into space travel, Taeyang said, his voice rising. We are descendants of the architects, the same architects who seeded this entire galaxy with life. The same architects whose technology you have been scavenging and reverse engineering for 10,000 years. We are their children, their inheritors, and you just voted to exterminate us. The chief arbiter's light pulsed with anger. The architects are a myth. Ancient stories, nothing more. They were real, Taeyang said firmly, and they left weapons behind. Weapons designed to be activated only by their genetic descendants. Weapons that have been waiting millions of years for humans to find them. He looked around the vast chamber, meeting the eyes, sensors, and consciousness nodes of thousands of species. You have just voted to wake the sleeping giant. When your fleets arrive at our worlds, you will discover what the architect's children can do when threatened with extinction. Security drones moved toward the human delegation. The chief arbiter's voice boomed. You will be escorted from this chamber. You have 30 galactic standard days to prepare your worlds for containment. Use that time wisely. Hyunwoo placed a hand on Taeyang's shoulder, gently pulling him back. Danai gathered their materials. Together, the three humans walked toward the exit, flanked by armed security from a dozen species. As they passed through the massive doors, Hyunwoo heard the celebration resume behind them. Let them celebrate, he thought. They have no idea what they have done. In the docking bay, their shuttle waited. As they boarded, Danai finally spoke. Protocol Omega? Hyunwoo nodded. Send the activation codes. All colonies, all fleets, all installations. Earth needs to know immediately. The shuttle lifted off from Threshold Prime, accelerating toward the nearest jump gate. Behind them, the station glittered with lights, a symbol of galactic unity and peace. That peace had 30 days left to live. Taeyang stared out the viewport at the stars. They do not understand, he said softly. Humans have survived ice ages, plagues, world wars, and nuclear fire. We have clawed our way up from caves to starships, and they think they can just vote us away. They will learn, Hyunwoo said. The hard way. The shuttle jumped to hyperspace, carrying 3 humans back to their doomed civilization. Behind them, the Galactic Council congratulated themselves on avoiding a future threat. They had no idea they had just created one.